Should we wait for some more time for him to stabilize? We can, but looking at him, I doubt there would be any difference. I can sense his body and mind have healed perfect. Then what should we do? We have already used an elixir, but if we don't dig out the source of this all, then we could not prevent such events in the future. For now, tighten the security of the young master's courtyard. Order the guards to be vigilant at all times and not leave him alone even if he asks so. Dispatch a team of investigators to find clues, and one of you go and check the barrier to see if there's something wrong with it. The elder paused, looking at the second young master. He further added, explain what happened to him and see if there's any reaction. With that, he left in a hurry, confusing the others. After coming out of the room, he stroked his chin as he looked at the surroundings. He wondered to himself in a somewhat serious manner, what's going on? A healing elixir is something that can bring back a person from the brink of death, but why was he not able to remember what happened? How can an elixir be ineffective? The elder pondered for some time. He had a bad premonition about something. Some days ago, the clan elites sensed a strange and ominous phenomena. It was so disturbing that the respected clan guardian personally went to check on it, which clearly meant that it was dangerous enough to be harmful to them. But then a few minutes later, the strange phenomena suddenly vanished as if it never existed in the first place. The clan guardian also did not say anything much on the topic, and asked everyone to ignore it. Many of the clan members were unsettled by this and wanted to investigate it further. However, no one wanted to oppose the guardian. After the clan head and their wife, the clan guardian held the highest authority. She has been overseeing the clan since ancient times. She's powerful and has incomprehensible powers. They did not doubt that she could not handle the strange phenomenon, but for her to not discuss a word about it with any of them made the elites restless. And now this happened with the second young master, something that cannot even be healed with a healing elixir. This is making me feel stressed, he muttered as he pondered his actions. Now that someone from the clan was affected by something unknown, he can probably no longer obey the clan guardian. I would need to discuss it with others and do something. Clan guardian must not know about this, otherwise it would be a direct challenge to her. He had to do it. Power that can even defy the effects of elixir is not something one would see commonly. It was a sign of something big happening. His eyes shone, and with a flick of his finger, he disappeared from the courtyard. A few weeks later, Henry was in his courtyard lifting weights. Not only that, in the back of his house, there were many equipment machines for physical exercise and strength training. He had requested the clan to provide him with these. They were just ordinary gym equipment he could think of from his previous world. This new world and his last world were quite similar in many things. This world was advanced in some aspects as well backward in other aspects compared to his last world. He was holding the weights in one hand while in his other hand he was carrying a notebook with some notes scribbled on its neat white pages. The power ranking system in this world is exactly as I remember it to be from the novel. Flipped a page as he scanned through the contents. Exorcists are majorly categorized based on some crucial factors such as their aspera level, combat skills, and purification techniques. Apart from that, there are factors like formal training and field experience that are given in specialized academies. Oliver put the weights in his hand down as he read further. Exorcists could also be broadly classified into 3 categories. First are those who rely on their aspera, second are the ones who rely on their physical powers, and third are the ones who rely on artifacts and tools. He closed the notebook as he changed his clothes. For now, I need to quickly rise through the ranks. The exorcists are ranked into 7 levels. Rank 1 to rank 7. Rank 1 being considered the newcomers to the exorcist world, just beginning their training and having a basic amount of knowledge about spiritual combat and purification techniques. These exorcists have no particular exorcism style and typically work under the high-ranking exorcist. Rank 2 being the next step as they solidify their foundations on purification techniques and combat styles. They usually undergo rigorous training, and this stage has always been considered tough for beginners. They can handle minor demons, Rank 3 exorcists are one step ahead, able to operate independently without the supervision of a high-ranking exorcist and handle low to mid-level demons. Rank 4 exorcists are even more advanced, capable of dealing with high-ranking demons. Rank 5 level exorcists are in charge of leading other exorcists in wars, missions, and dealing with catastrophic demons. The later level exorcists are legendary beings. It was rumored that the clan heads of the 5 clans belonged to these stages. Of course, it's unknown how these levels operate and how many of such exorcists exist. Creak. Zippy, I am going out to the market. I will bring you some meat. Meow. Oliver announced and left the courtyard. He had some things he wanted to purchase from the clan's market. His goal was quite simple. It was to use his special eyes to cheat through the market. In the novels he used to read, he was always fascinated by the protagonists who had special abilities to distinguish treasures among trash. Now that he had such means himself, there was no way he was going to be passing on such an opportunity. It was a great opportunity to collect some rare artifact to further ensure his future, and if possible, look for something to fasten Nadia's growth as well. He knew that there was no lack of treasures in this world. There were many things that were wasted or left unnoticed throughout the novel. It wouldn't be a problem if he could find them and use them for his own benefit. He was inherently weak, and obtaining tools and artifacts should ensure his future safety. He didn't even think about giving them to Nadia. It was more like he can't give them to her even if he wanted to. The reason was simple, yet had a complex explanation. Nadia would grow suspicious of him. First, he finds her a damn elixir out of nowhere and then provides her with all sorts of artifacts and techniques. She would not hesitate to either interrogate him herself or report to the clan. It did not matter if he and she shared the same blood. At that time, he would be suspected of being a heretic or colluding with someone suspicious, and would then be subjected to torture to spit everything he knows. So naturally, he cannot afford to provide her with anything he found. He can only keep it in moderation, and take it slowly, so he continues to maintain a smooth relationship with her and grow stronger himself. Also, I need to be selective of what I give her. I should focus on what aspect I want to improve on, and then provide her with an aid in that area. This way I can obtain tenfold benefit. He grinned as he mused about the future. Under the heart of the clan's fortress, nestled the shady market where he was going to visit. Over time, the market became a labyrinth, with countless shops and hidden corners. There were various kinds of goods, ranging from the mundane to the mystical. Forged weapons, enchanted tools for exorcism, scrolls containing various martial arts techniques, or even mysterious treasure maps. One could find anything in this market if one had the eyes to find them. Merchants wander around the market, hoping to hawk their wares to the clan members. Of course, among these treasures, there would be the occasional fake or useless trinket. The buyers had to be cautious. The market was rooted deeply in the clan, and was specially managed by some of the top people of the clan. It was huge. It was not an exaggeration to say it was like a labyrinth itself. And why wouldn't it be? The clan had been established for centuries. Generations after generations had gone by, leaving behind their marks. Not to mention, this was a clan famous for its exorcists. Where there were exorcists, there were riches. It was a famous line among the merchant circle, so it was no surprise that each clan had its own extensive network of supplies. Merchants would have to avail themselves of a special pass to be able to enter the clan and set up their business there, which involved a strict and tough background check. Oliver felt like it was quite similar to how the passport system worked in his previous world. Well, at least he compared the two for his own ease of understanding. There were times when shady people would also get in to do business, which was why Oliver referred to the market as a shady market. The clan didn't interfere in the market unless absolutely necessary. The things inside the market stayed inside the market. This was the clan's simple statement. As long as the clan's official activities were not hindered or bothered in any way, the market was free to operate as they wanted. Any hindrances would not be tolerated. The clan followed a zero-tolerance policy. As long as the market thrived and kept making the clan a portion of profits, The clan would ensure security and provide other services. Respecting the decades of relationship clan shared with the various people in the market, they allowed them to do things freely, even if it was slightly illegal. But what goes inside the market had nothing to do with the clan, so long as they don't interfere with the clan activities. His clan was really money-hungry. 2 big open gates marked the entrance to this market. They were tall and imposing and had 2 guards in uniforms stationed there. Oliver looked at their uniform and immediately knew they were low-rank exorcists, either performing part-time missions or were helping their supervisors. The guards at the entrance of the market had stiff expressions and were keenly maintaining a view on the surroundings. They were assigned to maintain balance, not let anyone cause too much trouble around. Although no one would dare to spread chaos in the clan, there were still some idiots who would do stupid things against clan rules from time to time. Oliver approached them with brisk steps. His temperament was great. The guards narrowed their eyes. White hair? Someone from the main family had come to visit the marketplace. But they had a ringing question in their mind. Who is he? They had never seen this young master before. Still, they did not dare be negligent, and immediately rushed to him. Sir, young master, greetings. The guards bowed as they greeted him with respect. Although they did not know who he was, his white hair was a symbol of respect. No one in the clan who had white hair was ordinary. They all had extraordinary backgrounds and powers behind them. Oliver nodded simply. I have some things to look for. Don't mind me. The 2 guards looked at each other with somewhat complicated expressions. How could they not mind? If something were to happen or someone were to offend him, then they would suffer grave consequences for not looking after him. Oliver understood this, so he said, Don't worry, I have my guards watching over. You 2 won't be held responsible. He said this in order to not have anyone following after him secretly. If he left as it was, then there was no doubt that one of them would come after him secretly, and he did not want anyone observing his findings and action. Hearing this, the guards relaxed as they nodded. All right, feel free to call us if you need something, young master. They felt that this young master was quite smart and understood their worries. With that, he left towards the market. Buy 2 get 1 free. Why stop at cluttering your life with just 2 unnecessary items when you can have a 3rd for free? Cluttering guaranteed. Scram. I refuse to be fooled. You are secretly trying to make me pay for the 3rd invisible item. The shops were lively with customers bickering with the shop owners. There were shops arranged neatly as one would expect from a festive market in his previous world. Oliver also realized something while strolling around. Although the clan was famous for its ruthless and crazy exorcists, in the end, it was still a clan that had always stood up for humanity against the demons. The normal people inside were happy and healthy. Proper sanitation was maintained throughout the place. It looks like only those who belong to or are associated to the main family are the crazy ones. He wondered. There was not much specification in the novel when he was reading it. It was just mentioned that the Mystic Purge clan was extremely violent, ruthless, and vicious to their enemies, so much so they are feared even among humans. But looking at the lively market situated in the heart of the clan made him doubt the words he had read. He sighed and focused on what his purpose of the visit was. In the next moment, his eyes changed. A mysterious glint passed through his amethyst eyes, slowly shifting its color to something else. It shifted from a light greenish blue to a bleached purple. The world in his eyes changed. Everything became visible to him, whether hidden or not. He looked at a passerby, but what he saw was not a human, but a walking skeleton. Oliver was able to vividly see all the 206 bones inside the person clearly. Not only that, he could also see the amount of aspera present inside the person's body. Focusing more on his eyes, the scene once again changed, and although diluted, he was now seeing the person's blood vessels, their muscles, flesh beneath the skin. Although the bony structure was no longer visible, he could see more complex detail. It was like layers in a body. Suppose the atomic and cellular constitution of a person is considered layer 0, then comes the skeletal and tissue layer above it, which could be said to be layer 1. Above that should be the muscular and vascular, where organs, vessels, and other major human body parts become visible to him. He decided not to view the layer 0 for the moment, as he could feel the eyes were quite exhausting to use, and he had a lot to use them for, so he took it slow. He did not have enough mastery and training to control the special eyes, so he could only compromise at the moment and use them frugally. For now, he limited himself to only see through when necessary, hopefully not needing him to use deeper than layer 2. "Oh, young man, would you like to buy something? I saw you standing here for some time." A voice interrupted his thoughts as he looked at the man beside him. It was a man with large, bushy brown beard covering his face. He had black eyes and looked quite average. From his clothing style, Oliver realized he was a shopkeeper. His clothing style was foreign and did not align with the clan's traditional style of clothes. "That's right. Was looking for some things casually." "Oh, then sir, would you like to come see my shop? I have plenty of good things for exorcists. From your refined attire, I am sure you are a distinguished exorcist yourself." The bearded man started buttering up as he praised Oliver's style. "What do you sell? Show me." Since Oliver was here to buy some useful things, he decided to follow the man to his shop. There were many shop owners who would come out to attract customers. Actually, after watching Nadia's humongous talent and getting beaten by his siblings, Oliver felt he was quite vulnerable. Despite the system, he did not feel assured at all. The system only provided him with rewards at random times, which was not ideal. It would only provide the benefits when his target achieved a milestone in their training. He had to use his own strength to counter threats he might face. So he must be prepared. He has already received a 10-fold strength boost, so he should at least train himself according to how an exorcist on physical path would. For now at least. And apart from the system, the best strength he had was his knowledge from novel, which was the knowledge about future of this world. What was the use of it all if he could not even use that knowledge to his advantage? I may be a side character, but I am not that useless. Freak. The man took him to a decent-looking shop, which was likely his shop. The interior was quite spacious and looked clean. "Here is it. Buy anything you like. If you buy in bulk, I will even give you a good discount." Looking around, he saw many things: firearms, cold weapons, medication, books, potions, exorcism tools, neatly arranged scrolls, and some random materials and substances placed in glass boxes. This was an all-purpose store. His pocket suddenly trembled a little. Although he was one of the young masters of the clan, his budget was definitely not young master-like. Of course, he had asked for some money from the clan a while ago, and thus was allotted some amount by the supervising maid, but he felt it was not enough at all. From his knowledge, all the young heirs of the clan were showered in riches, and not to mention Nadia, who could buy anything she wanted with just a word. "Fuck, I feel like a beggar," he could not help but exclaim. "I need to prepare a source of money for myself soon. I can't be dependent on the clan always." Oliver frowned. He had many ideas in his mind that he would be developing in the future, and many of his ideas required massive funds to even start. He needed money. The human world had adapted a common currency, which was called nidden. For comparisons, a loaf of bread costs around 1 nidden. Buy 2, get 1 free. Why stop at cluttering your life with just 2 unnecessary items when you can have a third for free? Cluttering guaranteed. Scram. I refuse to be fooled. You are secretly trying to make me pay for the 3rd invisible item. The shops were lively with customers bickering with the shop owners. There were shops arranged neatly as one would expect from a festive market in his previous world. Oliver also realized something while strolling around. Although the clan was famous for its ruthless and crazy exorcists, in the end, it was still a clan that had always stood up for humanity against the demons. The normal people inside were happy and healthy. Proper sanitation was maintained throughout the place. It looks like only those who belong to or are associated to the main family are the crazy ones. He wondered. There was not much specification in the novel when he was reading it. It was just mentioned that the Mystic Purge clan was extremely violent, ruthless, and vicious to their enemies, so much so they are feared even among humans. But looking at the lively market situated in the heart of the clan made him doubt the words he had read. He sighed and focused on what his purpose of the visit was. In the next moment, his eyes changed. A mysterious glint passed through his amethyst eyes, slowly shifting its color to something else. It shifted from a light greenish blue to a bleached purple. The world in his eyes changed. Everything became visible to him, whether hidden or not. He looked at a passerby, but what he saw was not a human, but a walking skeleton. Oliver was able to vividly see all the 206 bones inside the person clearly. Not only that, he could also see the amount of aspera present inside the person's body. Focusing more on his eyes, the scene once again changed, and although diluted, he was now seeing the person's blood vessels, their muscles, flesh beneath the skin. Although the bony structure was no longer visible, he could see more complex detail. It was like layers in a body. Suppose the atomic and cellular constitution of a person is considered layer 0, then comes the skeletal and tissue layer above it, which could be said to be layer 1. Above that should be the muscular and vascular, where organs, vessels, and other major human body parts become visible to him. He decided not to view the layer 0 for the moment, as he could feel the eyes were quite exhausting to use, and he had a lot to use them for, so he took it slow. He did not have enough mastery and training to control the special eyes, so he could only compromise at the moment and use them frugally. For now, he limited himself to only see through when necessary, hopefully not needing him to use deeper than layer 2. "Oh, young man, would you like to buy something? I saw you standing here for some time." A voice interrupted his thoughts as he looked at the man beside him. "Ah, that book is a martial arts book. It records a decent martial art technique focused on movements. It's called 6 Thoughtful Steps of the Spirits." So it was that. Oliver raised a brow as he pretended to be in thought. In reality, the martial art technique focusing on movement was a common technique that could be found in multiple places. There was nothing special about it in the eyes of normal exorcists. They could find copies of this martial art distributed around the human territories. It was a decent technique to learn and master, and undoubtedly it helped many exorcists who mastered it. But what people didn't know was that this was an incomplete technique. In fact, this martial art technique was a part that belonged to an important technique in the story. The technique was called spirit stretch. An unbelievably fast movement technique spirits of the world used to travel. This technique needed to be joined with other parts of the main technique in order for all the conditions to be fulfilled. What was even more absurd was that someone was able to complete this due to a very strange reason. In the novel, a character in the Academy arc was able to collect all the parts of this technique and receive spirit stretch directly from the spirits. How was he able to achieve that? It was all thanks to his severe obsession with anything related to spirits. It was borderline disgusting, but in a world where wars and demons were rampant, no one cared for some exorcist's weird fetishes. "I will take this," Oliver told the shop owner. Getting stretch would be extremely beneficial for him, considering the character who had it in the novel was always able to escape whenever his class fell in trouble with demons. "That'll be 500 Neden." Oliver cursed the shopkeeper. This was so expensive. "What's the discounted price?" he asked. "I won't make much profit on it, so this does not have a discount." "What? No, you must do something about it, otherwise forget it." Oliver quickly applied the going, gone tactic he had learned in his previous life while performing bargaining and negotiations. The man was speechless at this moment. He hadn't made many sales since the morning, and Oliver was his first customer that he had gone to bring himself. Couldn't let Oliver leave without selling something. All right, I am willing to lower the price if you buy something else as well." It was not a bad deal. "Then give me that." Oliver pointed his finger to one of the glass boxes that had a material placed under it. A black material that was somewhat transparent and mirror-like. It was known to be very light, malleable in solid form. This substance had a waxy texture in solid form. This material's melting point was one of the highest known. Not to mention it was superconductive. It was called hypon. It was generally used to make tough esper specialized weapons. He had some use for it, so he decided to purchase it. Thank you for your purchase. Your total will be 2,000 Neden after discount. Here. Oliver quickly received a bag containing his items and paid the owner his amount. It was a lot, but even a small quantity of hypon was considered quite expensive as it was a rare material. With that, he left the shop. Back at the market, he purchased a few more things. Until suddenly something happened. No way. There's no way. Oliver widened his eyes as he looked at the bag containing his things. Where the fuck is my wallet? That's right. He had been pickpocketed. Someone actually dares to pickpocket. More importantly, I did not even realize it until now when I needed it. He could not help but mutter in utter disbelief. Someone dared to pickpocket one of the young masters of the clan in broad daylight. The same clan where they were walking right now belonged to his family. Yet they dared to rob someone from that family. He frowned as he realized that not everyone was aware that white-haired people were the members of the mystic family. His clan might be popular, but the main people of the clan were always shrouded in mystery. It was no wonder he got robbed. A normal young master of the clan wouldn't allow themselves to be pickpocketed. It was just that Oliver also had heightened senses, but he was walking around like an idiot. He had never seen such magical items in his previous life. All of this felt new and mystical. Everything here was supernatural in his eyes. He was just so lost in exploring everything, like a child in a candy store, that his guard was lowered severely, which resulted in this. The clan market provided him with a sense of security, and thus he unknowingly didn't notice. Not to mention, no sane young master would walk around a market like that. His circumstances were different, and he had to do it in order to buy resources for himself. I should have been careful. His eyes turned mystical once again as he looked around, hoping to find the one who had pickpocketed. But to no avail, could not find the thief. It was quite evident that he had been robbed some time ago, and by now the thief was probably quite far away. Die? His hands went to his pocket and retrieved a couple of notes. He barely had any Neden left now. Most of his money was in the wallet that had been now stolen. This is so frustrating. He shook his head after thinking about it. Did not help but suddenly have dark ideas. He glanced at the few near shops and the crowd of customers bargaining. No. What am I thinking? He felt ridiculous. Although it wouldn't be an issue for him to rob these people secretly by taking advantage of the crowd, he felt it was just too low. He had read how protagonists would fall low after their reincarnations and transmigrations. And he felt it was understandable, but right now his mind was not ready to rob the innocent ones who might be poorer than him. What difference would there be between him and the person who stole his wallet? Instead, his eyes narrowed. With cosmic void gaze, he could see quite far, and there were a couple of presences that made him a little interested. He followed the path all the way there and noticed a group of people. Compared to others, they looked more refined and had better-looking clothes than the normal Joe. They were surrounded by exorcists who were probably serving as bodyguards. The exorcists were hired to be bodyguards, because there would be times when intense fights would sometimes break out between fellow business owners. Clan did not care about what happened inside the market area. If you die, then you die. As long as the clan was not affected. Of course, this also applied to all the official members of the clan. If you were going to enter the market and cause trouble and later get caught in trouble, then, naturally, no one dared to try that. Everyone knew that official clan members would be given immunity to such rules whatsoever, so no one messed with them even in the market. Oliver blended in with the crowd that was gathering around them and asked someone about the situation. Hey, what's going on here? What? You don't know? One of the biggest auctions of the year is going to take place soon. Those people over there are important guests invited by the clan. Oliver was stunned. Auction? Indeed. There were auctions too that took place all around the year. Different scales in different places. It would seem that there was going to be an auction soon in the market, and these people in expensive clothing were probably traders or merchants invited by the clan to auction their items or buy items. Receiving an invitation from one of the 5 clans was no joke. These people must be really influential to get invited to the auction. Oliver's eyes shone with intensity as the world around him shifted. From the special eyes, he was able to see that the important-looking person was not an exorcist but a normal human, but his body was glowing in multiple auras. Espera was flowing through vital parts of his body, such as his chest, shoulders, abdominal area. There are probably multiple artifacts on his body. Oliver concluded quickly, as there was no better explanation. He shifted his focus to the exorcists around them, and his eyes immediately narrowed. They were strong. Their bodies were leaking abundant espera. It was flowing out continuously. He could feel tense just seeing that amount of espera through. The vibrations in the air and the fluctuations around them were quite strong and erratic. One of the exorcists within the group suddenly looked around. He felt like he was being watched by something, and it was giving him chills for some reason. But upon looking around, all he could see were normal people. Imagination? He decided to leave it at that and focus on his job. In the distance, Oliver also left the crowd and went his own way. He now wanted to participate in the auction. There were always great items listed in auction. He wanted to take part in the auction, but he had no money. It would be useless to go there penniless. Is penniless the correct term even? Did I say nedenless instead? He wondered as he could not think of any normal way to earn cash. Robbing strangers, robbing shops, threatening the weak with my superior strength, using my status, begging, blackmailing weak exorcists. Fuck, why is my mind filled with such dark thoughts? Could it be that I am a scumbag? Oliver seriously wondered this. Apart from shady ways that would definitely land him in trouble sooner or later, he was not getting any ideas. If I must choose a shady method, then I should go with something that is the least shadiest and won't land me into too much trouble. He thought, a variety of dangerous ideas going in and out of his mind. Hey, young man, how about checking out some stuff? I got plenty of stuff over here for you. Oliver looked to his side and saw a man with a small wooden stall at the corner of the road, talking to a customer. Although he barely had enough money left, he also went over to the shop. He was now thinking about selling some low-price artifacts at a higher price to make some profit. Auctions were rare, and he didn't want to miss one now that he knew about it. Oh, hey there. Another exorcist, youngster. Come on over. I've got loads of stuff you might dig. The stall owner looked to be in his middle age with a bald head and a few yellow teeth missing. The stall owner did not care about Oliver's height and childlike appearance. There were many exorcists roaming around with stopped growth or cursed bodies, so it was not a surprise to see one in flesh, although it was quite rare. Ignoring him, Oliver looked at the items with his special eyes. He decided to start with this shop first, and then move on to search more. All of them are fake and cheap replicas. Huh? Just as he was scanning the items on the counter, his eyes caught something shining. It was a marble that was shining brightly. As he focused on the round marble, colors became even more evident. Strong espera was flowing inside the ordinary-looking red marble. The marble was not ordinary at all. How much for that sword? Oliver concealed his excitement and asked in a low voice, pointing at a random old sword, which was also a cheap replica. You got good eyes, young man. This sword used to be a possession of a great warrior in ancient times. I had to specially enter the ruins to get my hands on it. But for your cute face, I'll sell it for 2,000 neden. Kalabo. Forget it. Oliver cut him short and looked around, pointing at a few more things. But even before the stall owner could complete their prices, he directly cut him off. The stall owner felt quite infuriated at this presumptuous nature. Finally, he pointed at the red round marble and asked in a somewhat colder tone, "How much for that marble?" 700 neden. This time, the stall owner did not weave any bullshit story. He knew that Oliver was not a weak player. He seemed quite experienced in bargaining. 50 neden. He put up his own price. Impossible. Are you trying to rob me? The stall owner protested immediately. Then give a normal price. I know what you are doing here. Listen, I don't have time for these scam games, but a good price or I'll just leave. Oliver said in a bored tone. And as expected, the expression on the stall owner's face changed. Forget it. I will buy from others. The expression on the stall owner's face changed when he heard that. This made the stall owner feel pressured. Even he knew that what he had brought was all trash, not worth selling. Oliver had already changed several options, and he felt that this time he might really leave. If this went on, then he would not be able to scam him. 150 Neden. Don't bargain, this is the lowest I can do. I have a wife at home and 2 kids. Wait. He saw that Oliver began to leave without listening to his sad story. All right, I will do it for 70 Neden. Please, I beg. Fine. Here you go. Oliver paused and showed a smile as he handed over a 70 Neden bill. He felt quite proud that he directly had the seller reduce the price by 10 times. From 700 to 70 Neden, his skills were quite useful. In fact, this small marble that was now in his hands was probably an artifact of some sorts, and could even fetch tens of thousands if sold carefully with negotiations. He could tell from the strong and turbulent Espera flow inside it. Oliver felt funny. Although he had basically just robbed the stall owner, he did not feel that bad. The owner of that stall reeked of cheap booze and had the eyes of a big scammer. Who knows how many people he had scammed in the past. But it was only right for him to be scammed back. His eyes lit up. He knew that he might just be able to generate enough income to at least get one item from the auction. Probably. No, there will be ultra-rich individuals. It's possible I might not get anything at all. He quickly suppressed his emotions and looked straight at the various shops ahead. He still had some spare left. So he visited various stores at random, collecting anything that looked useful but was being sold at the wrong price. In the end, he managed to buy some things: a round red marble, an ivory rope, a broken shard, and last but not least, a shiny purple metal. And now he was officially broke with nothing in his pockets or savings at his home. Aha! He let out a nervous laugh. He was a spender, a dangerous one. It would be a terrible situation if no one bought what he had purchased just now. Now I have to sell all this. He scratched his head, thinking, otherwise, I won't even be able to buy meat for Zippy. Fortunately, there is a place just right for the Black Codex Federation, an organization that was spread all across the exorcist world, single-handedly competing with the top 5 clans in terms of wealth and resources. It was an organization that had a huge influence and dealt with all sorts of business. They had their stores in almost all major cities, dominating all the businesses around them. In the novel, this organization dealt both in light and dark. On the surface, they were an influential merchant organization, while in the dark, they did all sorts of shady business, from taking assassination requests to infiltration. They were so bold to even provoke the top clans, sometimes during the multiple arcs. Oliver recalled what he knew of the organization. Right now, he was heading straight to their established store that was also located in the clan's market. They had to provide the clan with heavy resources and treasures for them to be even allowed to operate inside. In the novel, the Black Codex Federation had a neutral relation with Mystic Purge clan, both wary of the other. Even in the Blood Arc, they did not provoke the Mystic Purge clan. He thought as he reached before a humongous structure shadowing everything around. Tall, well-designed building, a miracle of this world's modern architecture. The building gave Oliver an intimidating vibe. He smiled wryly. Just the guards stationed at the doors were full of Espera. As he went near the gates, the guards did not stop him, nor did they perform a mandatory check they always performed on normal visitors. So they know my identity. Oliver was not even surprised by this. If such a big organization did not have their guard memorize the important people of the place where they operate, how could they be so successful? It was not like in the cliché novels, where the guards would stop the protagonist and treat him as a beggar, only to be face-slapped later. After he entered the building, one of the guards took out a rectangular device. If Oliver was here, he would instantly recognize that as a smartphone. This world was just a few years backward from his previous world in terms of tech, so it was not a shock that they had started to develop smartphones. Not to mention, this world had some strange things thanks to the presence of Espera and other magical elements. The guard pressed a button and said, "An unknown boy with white hair has entered the establishment." I did not stop him. I am not sure if he belongs to the main family or not. The voice on the other end was silent for a moment before it said, No problem, I will inform madam. You did good. With that, the call ended instantly. It was a mesmerizing sight, filled with gleaming gold and silver artifacts, precious gems, shimmering jewels, and relics and artifacts radiating ancient aura. The sun's soft rays seeped in from the glass windows, casting a warm, comfortable glow throughout the pavilion. It was an amazing architectural build with exquisite mastery and hard work of the designer. At the front was a reception counter, and behind it was the receptionist. Oliver went up to her and asked, "I want to sell some things. Willing to take a look?" He made it short and crisp, no nonsense talk. The receptionist stared at his face for a moment. Even though Oliver was just a little kid, she recognized his white hair and amethyst eyes. He was definitely a member of the main family in her eyes. If some other random little kid had wandered in the store, she would have asked them to leave and not cause trouble for Candy, but she could not ignore his presence. She had strict orders from above as well. "Very well, sir. Please follow me." "Very well, sir. Please follow me to the room behind, where I will appraise the item you wish to sell." She answered in a professional tone and led Oliver to another room. This room was relatively normal. It had 2 sofas facing each other and a table in between. The rest of the room was occupied by various shelves and accessories. "Well then, please show me what you wish to sell." She asked him to take out his items, although she was not an expert appraiser, but she still had her fair share of experience as an appraiser and was a little confident in evaluating the little young master's materials. Oliver glanced at her once and then withdrew. Just one look from his eyes. He could tell she was not as strong as the guards outside. He'd even overpower her with brute strength. But he still did not say anything. She might have extensive knowledge, or else she wouldn't be the receptionist of the store belonging to Black Codex Federation. He put his bag on the table and took a seat comfortably, crossing his legs like an arrogant young master. Told her, "All the items in that bag. I want to know the price you could provide for them." The receptionist's lips twitched slightly when she heard this, and her expression could not help but strain a bit. She was now wondering if this spoiled young master had only come here to make some extra cash off them by selling his house furniture or something. If that was the case indeed, and then later he realizes that all he brought along were ordinary things worth nothing, then it might not be good. This kid was someone from the main family of the clan, one of the heirs probably, so if she refused him or hurt his high ego, he might create trouble for their establishment. Sigh? What a troublesome brat. She sighed internally and opened the bag to look at the items. No matter if the situation escalated, her superior would be the one to handle him, not her. She was here only to tell the honest review of the items. Her eyes could not help but widen slightly when she took out the items one by one. All of them are artifacts. She could not help but exclaim as she looked at Oliver's mocking expression. It was as if he already knew what she was thinking, and how she felt embarrassed now. She shyly lowered her head and began seriously inspecting the items one by one. Oliver was provided with a cup of coffee to drink while the receptionist did her work. "This does not taste good." Oh, he could not help but feel weird at the bland or plain taste of the coffee. Half an hour later, Oliver was sipping his bland coffee with a dull expression. The drink had successfully managed to ruin his mood. "I will definitely introduce some fine coffee to this world in the future." He made a mental note as he finished the coffee. The receptionist was also done appraising everything, and she had a flabbergasted look on her face. She coughed to clear the awkward atmosphere and said, "I've appraised all of the things except this," she said as she picked up the purple metal Oliver had picked up earlier from one of the old stalls he forgot about. He narrowed his eyes as he remembered that this was the thing that had costed him the most to purchase. But since he saw the strong Espera bursting out of it, he purchased it in the end. He did not expect her to not be able to appraise it. It was indeed a great treasure. "Is that so? Then what? Is this what your establishment is capable of?" His tone was superior despite being the smaller one in stature. If one looked closely, he barely reached her waist if he stood up. The receptionist frowned and quickly said, "Sir, Please don't think so low of us. We have experts with us. They will quickly assess the item for you. I am just an intern. All right then, bring it to them and get it appraised. Before that, would you like to know the total amount you will receive if you sell everything, excluding the metal? The receptionist questioned. How much? It'll be around 300,000 Neden, sir. Oliver could not maintain his composure at the moment, no matter what. She directly dropped a bomb on his head. He was not expecting his items to fetch so high. At maximum, he had expected around a 90 to 100k Neden, but this was unexpected. Although being able to see the Aspera waves inside an object was a very difficult task, even for an expert exorcist, he was able to achieve it quite easily. The receptionist could not help but show a smirk as she looked at him, losing his arrogant composure. Well then, take them away and give me the money. Also have the metal appraised quick. As you say, please wait here while I prepare your amount. With that, the receptionist left the room, and he sighed. Damn, I shouldn't act like this. I am sure 300,000 Neden is nothing to a young master of the clan. I must maintain my dignity, or else they will not take me seriously in the future. He calmed down, and the receptionist returned shortly. She was carrying a silver tray, and on it there was a black metal card placed. It had the official symbol of the bank. Sir, here is your amount. We have stored all 300,000 Neden in this card. Oliver picked up the card and put it in his pocket safely. He was not going to lose it this time. As for the metal, actually, about that, I have something to tell you. The receptionist paused for a moment before she added, My supervisor is directly appraising the metal and is very interested in the metal. She has invited young master to discuss something important. If you don't mind, I will take you to meet my supervisor, she said in a calm tone. Oliver could not help but be puzzled. It was so good that they wanted to discuss it personally? All right. Seeing her expression, he agreed. With that, he followed her as he saw her enter a corridor and then take an elevator. Upon reaching the 4th floor, they stopped, and she exited the elevator followed by Oliver. They were now in front of a room as he saw her knock at the door a few times and say, I have brought him, madam. Oliver heard a sharp feminine voice on the other side of the door as they entered the room. What greeted him was a normal room with carpeted floor, walls with a wooden finish, multiple shelves carrying various books and antiques placed in them. In the middle of the room was an office desk, and behind it was a woman sitting. Oliver looked at her stunning appearance and could not help but shake his head secretly. In the novel, it was often mentioned how beautiful the people were. The beauty standards in this world were way ahead than his previous world. A supermodel from his previous world could be a commoner on the streets, and no one would care. Only the most beautiful were looked up to and praised. He wondered if it was due to the presence of Esper in this world that boosted people's vitality and kept them young. Status. Race. Human. Aspera, level 1. Charisma level 3. My charm is level 3. This should be considered pretty high considering that even my 10-fold increased strength is also at the same level. Seeing that he could grow up to be handsome, he felt relieved as he focused back on the woman behind the desk. She had long raven black hair. She was tall and had an athletic build with proper curves. Her beady eyes were piercing ice blue. She had jade white skin that looked smooth and beautiful. Her eyes looked cold and had a piercing gaze which would make others uncomfortable. The overall air around her reeked of superiority and power. She was wearing a stylish dress that further emphasized her curves. Her lips were painted with cherry red lip gloss, as she threw the receptionist a glance who quickly left the room, leaving the two alone. Her cherry red lips moved as she picked up a document and read it out. Young Master Oliver, 4th son of the main family, not allowed to live with the main lineage despite sharing the same blood, but no talent whatsoever. Practically isolated from your own family. First time in the market, and you visit small stores and coincidentally pick artifacts out of trash? She placed the documents back on the table as she once again met his eyes. Little boy, being branded as talentless and hiding such terrifying appraisal talent. What are your intentions exactly in coming to us? She clasped her hands on the table and looked at him just how a noble would look at a commoner. Oliver tried his best to maintain a poker face, while his heart was beating wildly. He didn't expect her to be able to gather so much information about him in such a short duration. He didn't believe that she even knew who he was, before he stepped inside this establishment. What a terrifying information network, he secretly exclaimed to himself. He had not expected her to even know about all his activities in the market as well. He looked at her as a glint passed through his eyes. In the next moment, his eyes widened, and a sharp headache followed afterward. He could not help but suddenly groan slightly. The woman tilted her head, a bit confused as to what happened to the little boy in front of her. In her perspective, he was just standing there trying to maintain a poker face to show his courage. But suddenly his eyes widened, and he pressed his forehead as if in pain. And this was understandable. Cosmic gaze was an inherent ability that was literally undetectable unless Oliver intended to let others know about it. It could be seen that when he asked the second brother to look into his eyes before, he intended to directly attack his mind, so the second brother was able to catch a glimpse of its power. Otherwise, it was not detectable at all. At most, others would feel someone was looking at them. But that's it. If someone was especially perceptive, they might even feel threatened, but since he was just in front of her, she didn't feel any of the above. Also, it was not a shock that she was able to see through his facade of trying to act nonchalant. She was a lot more experienced than Oliver, and dealt with all sorts of people, so she knew of such tactics. And not to mention, Oliver was just a kid in her eyes who was trying hard to keep his facial muscles relaxed, but was unable to do so in her presence. Fuck, what did I just see? On the other hand, his body was tingling as goosebumps made his hair stand to no end. Just now he had caught the glimpse of her power. He wanted to know what her level was and how strong she was actually. But when he saw her Aspera amount, his eyes almost got blinded. It was too strong. She was suppressing a massive amount of Esper inside her body. Her Esper was like a blazing sun, radiating a brilliant glow that filled his entire vision. It was overwhelming despite not flowing out of her body. It was stronger than anything Oliver had ever seen. He knew the moment he saw that he was in the presence of a true powerhouse. He forcefully suppressed the anxiety in his heart. At the same time, his mind was filled with curiosity. He wanted to know what secrets she was carrying within her. Why was she in their clan with such strength? It's nothing. He smiled, a bit softly as he replied to her. I just want to make a couple of Nedden. Since you already know my situation, then you should know that I am not provided with a budget like my siblings, and I have to survive on my own, he answered, carefully considering the situation at hand. What could she want from him? She wouldn't call for him just to appraise an item, would she? He took a deep breath. I heard you want to talk to me about the medal? Have you appraised it? Couldn't help but ask. The woman was silent, observing his demeanor, for she opened a drawer by her side and placed the purple medal on her desk. It has been appraised successfully, and I must say this is quite the thing you have stumbled upon. Her tone carried a hint of amusement. This medal is not an ordinary exorcist artifact. It is the medal of eternal pain. This medal is not an ordinary exorcist artifact. It is called the medal of eternal pain, she said to him. Oliver heard her, and for a moment he stopped whatever he was thinking. Medal of eternal pain? Is this? He glanced at the medal placed on the wooden desk and could not help but be taken aback. He was taken aback not because he realized that it was a precious treasure, because he knew what exactly it was. Medal of eternal pain? Wasn't this supposed to be in the hands of Caden Falcon, a minor antagonist in the early Academy arc? What's it doing here? Oliver was a little surprised by this. In the novel, the Medal of Eternal Pain was supposed to be an opalescent orange color, but this is clearly different. Does it change according to its owner's Aspera or something? Quickly pretended not to know anything about it, and curiously asked, what does it do? According to me, Medal of Eternal Pain has two effects. Agony infliction and curse endurance. She tapped the purple metal with her sharp fingernails. Oliver saw how she had painted her nails with silver-colored nail polish. Agony infliction allows the possessor of this artifact to send excruciating pain to a specified target upon physical contact. The level of pain depends on the espera of the user. Curse endurance, on the other hand, ensures that the pain inflicted by the metal persists indefinitely until the owner of the artifact wills it to stop. Not to mention, it also provides some resistance to curses in general as well. The woman finished her explanation and looked back at Oliver. Her eyes held a strange glint as she eyed Oliver. In her eyes, he was clearly a little kid who has yet to step out of his clan. Although she could not sense any espera from him, she was not much disappointed knowing that he was extremely talentless. She was more interested in how he was able to pick out such interesting artifacts on his first try. It was definitely not luck that he managed to do all of this. She knew it was impossible. How about it? If you are interested in selling this metal, I'll give you a really good price. She asked him, feeling greatly interested in this artifact. She needed this in order to commence her own plans. A good price? How much is that? Oliver raised a brow and did not speak much. Let me guess, how does 1,000,000 Neden sound? She said casually. 1,000,000 Neden? Oliver hissed internally. He suddenly felt that this woman was very rich. But it's too low, he said. The slight moment of need in her eyes towards the artifact did not go unnoticed by him. Aware that she wanted this artifact, he decided to take a little advantage. Little? Look at your little body and brain. Do you know how the market works? What price do you think this would sell for then? The woman had an intimidating and commanding aura as she leaned back and crossed her legs, which were clad in silk black stocking. Looking at the pair of long and curvy legs, Oliver was not distracted. His mind was occupied by benefits he could extract from her. I know how the market works. 300,000 for all the artifacts I brought and this Metal of Eternal Pain, which is quite clearly an ancient and powerful artifact. You aren't fooling anyone here, he boldly told her as she watched him in surprise. There were only a few people who could act so casually in her presence once they get to know her real identity. Her aura alone was enough to silence masses. Perhaps because he's just a little kid? She shook her head. She didn't expect Oliver to be able to sense even a glimpse of her strength. In her eyes, he didn't have much espera inside his body, which restricted him to feel her aura. Ignorance is bliss, as they say. She felt a little amused by his behavior. It's been time since she was feeling the urge to play with someone. Then how much do you suggest, little boy? She had a smirk on her face as she said it, which Oliver felt like she did to provoke him. He remained calm against her silly acts and told her straight. 30,000,000 Neden. The woman almost choked when she heard him casually utter 30,000,000, as if he was asking for 30 Neden. Are you kidding? Little boy, do you even have the capacity to bring that much money back safely? She felt he was intentionally asking such an outrageous sum of money. 3,000,000 Neden. 25,000,000 Neden. 5,000,000. 20,000,000. 10,000,000. 15,000,000. 13,000,000. A middle take. You accept it or leave, she firmly told him after a series of fierce negotiations. Oliver was also helpless. She was surely capable of giving him more, but was stubborn, and he could not just leave from here before selling the artifact. He admitted that she was quite strong when it came to making deals, but still, he did not feel that he made a loss. At least he made her increase her previous price by 13 times. It was quite good. He knew that he might be able to sell the artifact for more, but he was in a hurry to sell it before auction, and finding a buyer who could offer such a sum of money before that was very hard. Plus, he did not want to be near this artifact for a reason, so in the end, he just accepted. On the other hand, Oliver did not realize that the woman was thinking the same thing. He sure has a knack for business. If raised in the right way, he could make great profits in the future. Although he's lacking and easily concedes, he can improve that growing up. She was getting interested in this little boy in front of her who was carrying a bunch of secrets within himself. There was a reason why Oliver accepted the money. He believed it should be enough to buy him at least one artifact from the auction. There was a particular reason he did not take the artifact for himself. Yes, one of the reasons for that was that he wanted to purchase something from the auction and did not currently need the metal. The second and most important reason was that he knew about the bad side effects this metal had. Metal of eternal pain, with such an ominous name, had a dark history associated with it, as explained briefly in the novel. It was told in the novel that this artifact was originally found by a camper when he visited an ancient forest with the intention to explore. At first, the camper was not sure about the forest. It was rumored to be famous for its notorious death rates and ghostly activities, as claimed by the nearby residents. He wanted to prove everyone wrong and become famous. He knew of demons and exorcists, yet refused to believe that something dangerous would be in the forest. He wanted to try something that no normal human had ever done before. But as he went forward, ironically towards the same direction where he found a broken skull, he started to encounter strange things. He didn't think the skull belonged to a human, could have been animal remains. His mind would sometimes hallucinate about things that shouldn't exist in the world. Very dark thoughts started to cloud his mind as he went on silently. He was unaware that he was being affected by something. His mind was distracted towards a particular direction. It became even worse when he started to find strange dead bodies one by one. All those corpses had signs of extreme torture being performed. Corpses were rotting, but their state was beyond tolerable for the camper. Puked blood, yet strangely enough, he wanted to keep going, and he did. It was as if all of this around him was just another imagination. The number of corpses he encountered started to increase, to the point that he could probably stack them up to form a small hill. All of them had expressions of pain. It was clear that none of them had received a peaceful death. The strange hallucinations in his mind intensified. Scenes of an unknown cannibalistic tribe flashed through his mind one after another. A tribe that was savage, cruel, and inhuman. They were demons or humans. He didn't know. They messed with something that they shouldn't have, and it spilled their doom. He soon reached a broken shrine, and in the middle of everything, he found the metal. Whispers in his ears prompted him to take the metal, and he did, quickly leaving the area. But alas, he couldn't even leave the forest as he slowly died. The metal clawed at his soul as he kept walking. Unbeknownst to him, he was in severe pain, but his legs refused to stop, and he died at the edge of the forest, where people saw him and retrieved his belongings. And thus the metal was also brought out into the world. Wherever the metal went, brought misfortune, pain, and death. It was cursed. Souls of humans were like fuel to the artifact. People would get intoxicated by the allure of its power, only to die miserably in the end. If that was it, then there was no problem, but the real problem was that every person who once owned this artifact caused irreversible damage to their surroundings, conducting mass murder, spreading blood, experimenting with torture. All sorts of inhuman acts were performed by the owners of this artifact. It was not until a group of people called for an expert exorcist to help them. The exorcist took the artifact in his hands and instantly felt the immense dark aspera inside the thing. He foresaw the danger it posed to both normal humans and exorcists, and thus decided to seal the artifact and keep it in his home. He didn't destroy the artifact. He believed as long as someone used it limitedly, without being consumed by the strange artifact, they could use it against demons in the war. The exorcist himself had participated in multiple wars, and was thus not afraid of the curse within the artifact, like normal humans. But unfortunately, later the exorcist was killed by demons when they ambushed him in his home, destroying his village alongside him. Since then, the sealed artifact was lost. It was nothing more than an ordinary metal to normal humans. The exorcist, in his time, had only recorded what uses the artifact had. He never thought to write down the dangers associated at that time. But over the centuries, those records became blurred and not believable. And thus, people now only knew about what powers this artifact carried, not what dangers it had. In fact, since most of them had never seen the artifact personally, no one believed it existed, and only thought it was just a hoax artifact crafted out of someone's imagination. This was why Oliver wanted to trade this artifact for money. The risk associated was too great, considering he was not even strong enough to handle a single use of this artifact. Well then, you can collect the money from the reception. She will add it to your card. Oh wait, Do you even have a bank account to transfer the money? He asked curiously, to which Oliver shook his head. Then how are you going to access the money? She looked at him speechlessly. Actually, he himself had not thought of this matter. He thought that at the time he purchased something from the auction, he'd directly hand them the card to deduct the amount. But having a personal account should ease things in the future. He looked at the smirking woman and sighed. No, he'd rather do it himself than ask her. She was a terrifying person, and having less contact with her would be better. And I don't even know her from the novel, so she must be a minor overpowered character. Oliver was sure that he did not want to mess with her, lest he fall into serious troubles. I will see to it myself, he said as he started to leave the room. But before he could reach out to touch the door, his body froze. He realized that his body could not move no matter how much force he used. It was frozen still in place. Did I allow you to leave? I will see to it myself.